Hey guys, what if I told you there's something that matters more to women than your height, your muscles, or even your bank account? Today we're diving deep into emotional intelligence, the hidden superpower that's making some average-looking guys absolutely crush it in their relationships, while leaving traditionally hot guys wondering what they're doing wrong. Let's get real about what creates genuine, lasting attraction. Think about it. How many times have you seen a guy who isn't conventionally attractive with an amazing partner? It's because they've mastered something deeper than looks. Here's what most guys miss. While we're busy working on our biceps, women are scanning for emotional depth and understanding. It's like we're playing checkers while they're playing chess. When a woman first interacts with you, she's not just seeing your face or body, she's picking up on dozens of subtle cues about how you process and respond to emotions. And this is where the real magic happens. Let's talk about the common traps that even smart, well-intentioned guys fall into when it comes to emotional intelligence. Here's something that might sound familiar. Your partner starts sharing a problem and you immediately jump into fix-it mode. But here's the twist. Sometimes she just wants you to understand, not solve. It's like bringing a toolbox to someone who just wants a hug. Many of us grew up hearing "man up" or "real men don't cry." But suppressing emotions is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes constant energy and eventually bursts up in unhealthy ways. True strength is understanding and managing your emotions, not pretending they don't exist. Think of emotional cues like a foreign language. If you haven't learned it, you'll miss 90% of the conversation. When she says, "I'm fine," there's usually a whole paragraph of meaning behind those two words. We often avoid deep emotional conversations because they feel uncomfortable or risky. But here's the irony. This avoidance is exactly what makes relationships shallow and unsatisfying. Now let's break down the 4 core pillars of emotional intelligence that can transform your relationships. The first pillar is self-awareness, and it's like having a clear mirror for your emotions. Think of emotional triggers like your car's dashboard warnings. They're telling you something important. Maybe certain situations make you defensive or anxious. Recognizing these is the first step to managing them. We all have patterns. Maybe you shut down during arguments, or perhaps you get overly defensive when receiving feedback. Identifying these patterns is like finding the source code of your emotional responses. Here's a game changer. There are no wrong emotions. Just like you wouldn't judge yourself for feeling hungry, you shouldn't judge yourself for feeling angry or sad. It's what you do with those emotions that matters. Self-management is where the rubber meets the road. Think of emotions like waves. You can't stop them, but you can learn to surf them. This means finding healthy ways to process everything from anger to disappointment. There's a huge difference between reacting and responding. It's like the difference between punching a wall and taking a strategic time out when you're angry. One is instinctive, the other is intelligent. Emotional balance isn't about being calm all the time. It's about returning to center after being knocked off. Like a good boxer, it's not about never getting hit. It's about how quickly you can recover your stance. Social awareness is your emotional radar system. Ever walked into a room and felt the tension? That's social awareness in action. It's like having an emotional weather radar that helps you navigate social situations. Women often say men miss their hints. That's because we're not trained to look for them. It's like watching a movie with subtitles you didn't know were there. Different people process emotions differently. What makes one person laugh might make another uncomfortable. Understanding this is like having a universal translator for emotions. Relationship management ties everything together. Clear communication isn't just about what you say. It's about creating a safe space where both people feel heard and understood. It's like building a bridge that can handle both light and heavy emotional traffic. Being emotionally supportive doesn't mean you have to fix everything. Sometimes it's just about being there, like a steady anchor in rough waters. Conflict is inevitable, but how you handle it determines whether it strengthens or weakens your relationship. Think of it like martial arts. It's not about avoiding contact. It's about how you flow with the energy. Let's see how emotional intelligence actually plays out in real-life situations. The difference between these responses can make or break your relationships. On one side, we have typical low EQ reactions that push people away, and on the other, High EQ responses that draw people closer and deepen connections. When someone shares their feelings, saying things like, "You're overreacting," or "It's not that big a deal," this immediately shuts down emotional connection. Using phrases like "I hear you" or "That makes sense" to show you understand, even if you might say things differently. Getting defensive and turning discussions into debates, like saying, "But I didn't mean it that way," instead of understanding their perspective. Asking thoughtful questions like, "Can you tell me more about that?" to better understand their perspective. Changing the subject when conversations get emotional, using humor or distraction to escape uncomfortable moments. Showing you're emotionally available by maintaining eye contact and giving full attention without judgment. Making snap judgments about others' emotions without understanding the full context, like assuming someone's just being dramatic. Taking time to really listen without interrupting or immediately offering solutions, like being a steady camera instead of a rapid-fire editor. Turning someone else's emotional moment into a story about yourself, missing the opportunity to provide real support. Putting yourself in their shoes and showing you understand with responses like, "I can see why that would feel frustrating." One of the most crucial skills in emotional intelligence is being able to read what's not being said directly. Let's break down how to become fluent in emotional language. Think of body language like your phone's signal bars. Crossed arms might mean defensive, leaning in shows interest, and turned away, feet often signal a desire to leave. But here's the key: look for clusters of signals rather than just one. It's like solving a puzzle where multiple pieces need to fit together. Voice tone is like emotional music. It's not just what's being said, but how it's being said. When someone says "I'm fine" with a tight voice and clipped words, they're actually playing a very different tune than the words suggest. Learn to hear these subtle variations like you'd notice a change in your favorite song. Context is your emotional GPS. The same behavior can mean completely different things in different situations. A quiet partner might be peaceful and content while watching TV, but that same quietness during a discussion about your relationship could be a warning sign. Always factor in the when, where, and what of the situation. The unsaid message is often the most important one. It's like reading between the lines of an emotional text message. When your partner says, "Do whatever you want," there's usually a whole paragraph of meaning hidden in those 4 words. Learning to decode these hidden messages is like gaining access to a secret relationship manual. Now let's talk about specific ways you can level up your emotional intelligence. Think of these as daily workouts for your emotional muscles. Start with a simple daily practice. Ask yourself, "What am I feeling right now?" 3 times a day. Just like checking your phone's battery level, these emotional check-ins help you stay aware of your internal state. Label the emotion specifically instead of just bad. Are you frustrated? Disappointed? Anxious? This self-awareness creates the foundation for everything else. Next time someone's talking, try this game-changing approach. Listen to understand, not to respond. Imagine your mind as an empty cup, ready to be filled with their perspective. No planning your response, no thinking about similar stories, just pure attention. It's like switching from a choppy video call to crystal clear HD. Most guys use about 5 emotional words: happy, sad, angry, fine, and good. That's like trying to paint a masterpiece with only primary colors. Start expanding your emotional vocabulary instead of just angry. Are you irritated? Furious? Frustrated? Each specific word helps you understand and communicate your feelings more accurately. When you feel triggered, practice the 5-second pause. It's like having a DVR for your reactions. Hit pause, take a breath, then choose your response. This tiny gap between stimulus and response is where emotional intelligence grows. Here's the game changer: actively ask for feedback from people you trust. It's like having multiple cameras recording your emotional impact instead of just your own perspective. Ask questions like, "How did that come across?" Or "What could I have done differently?" This feedback loop accelerates your growth exponentially. Let's look at how developing your emotional intelligence transforms every aspect of your life. These aren't just nice-to-haves. They're game-changing advantages in today's world. First and foremost, high EQ creates relationships that actually fulfill you. We're talking about connections where you don't just exist together, you truly understand each other. Your partner feels heard, you feel understood, and conflicts become opportunities for growth rather than threats to your relationship. It's like upgrading from a black and white TV to a 4K experience in all your relationships. In the workplace, emotional intelligence is often the hidden factor that determines who moves up and who stays stuck. Technical skills might get you in the door, but EQ gets you the corner office. Leaders with high emotional intelligence build stronger teams, navigate office politics more effectively, and inspire rather than just manage. It's becoming the most valued skill in modern leadership. High EQ transforms how you make decisions by integrating both emotional wisdom and logical analysis. Instead of being hijacked by emotions or ignoring them completely, you use them as valuable data points. It's like having both GPS and intuition working together to navigate life's complex choices. When life hits hard, and it will, high EQ acts like emotional shock absorbers. You bounce back faster from setbacks, handle pressure more effectively, and maintain your composure when others lose theirs. This isn't about being emotionally bulletproof. It's about having the tools to process and move through challenges without being derailed by them. Here's the truth that most guys miss, and it's going to change everything about how you approach relationships and personal growth. Think about this. All the external stuff, the looks, the money, the status, they might get you initial attention. But it's your emotional intelligence that determines if people, especially potential partners, stick around and truly connect with you. It's like having the key that unlocks every door in your relationships, career, and personal growth. This isn't just another self-improvement tip, it's the foundation that makes everything else work better. Let's wrap this up with specific actions you can take starting today to build your emotional intelligence muscle. Challenge yourself to track your emotions for 21 days straight. Use your phone's Notes app or download an emotion tracking app. Write down what you're feeling, what triggered it, and how you responded. It's like creating a personal emotional weather report that helps you spot patterns and predict emotional storms before they hit. When you feel an emotional reaction coming on, use this 3-step technique. Pause for 3 seconds, take one deep breath, then choose your response. It's simple but powerful, like having an emotional circuit breaker that prevents overload. Start with one situation per day where you consciously apply this. Look for emotional intelligence workshops or discussion groups in your area or online. You can find these on Meetup, Facebook groups, or through local counseling centers. It's like joining a gym for your emotional fitness, where you can practice with others who are on the same journey. Set aside 15 minutes every Sunday evening for an emotional review of your week. Ask yourself, what triggered strong emotions? How did I handle them? What could I do better? Write it down. This weekly ritual is like watching game tape to improve your emotional performance. Find someone, a friend, mentor, or coach, who can give you honest feedback about your emotional intelligence growth. Meet or call them monthly to discuss your progress. Having someone hold you accountable is like having a spotter at the gym. They help you push yourself while maintaining good form.